Hey, what's up? It's Pete Thorn. Hey, you're at my studio, and I've got the gear. I'm like the guy in the Arby's ad. We've got the meats. Well, I've got the pedals. You know I do. And it's the Infinity 2 Looper today from my friends at PIGTRONIX. There you go. And you heard me use it to do a little live looping on that track at the beginning of the video. I must confess, I don't consider myself like much of a looper. I don't really... I just never got that into it, but I do have fun. Like once I start doing it and spend a little bit of time and get the learning curve sort of sorted out and stuff like that, it is super fun. I have great respect for the folks out there like the Ed Sheerans of the world and stuff that kind of live on the edge, you know, because at any given moment, if you screw up, disaster is right around the corner. It's going to come looping right back at you. And so it freaks me out a little bit, but it is really, really fun to do once you get the hang of it. So with this pedal, they wanted to really emphasize the fact that you can do some pretty cool, sophisticated compositions with it because it allows you to record two different loops and then switch between them. So you could have like sort of a verse-chorus or a chorus and a solo section or something, and then actually switch between them, creating two different loops with all the sort of requisite overdubs and that kind of good stuff that you can do to them and then flip between them. And you saw me do that in the track at the beginning of the video. Some other features about the pedal that are really cool. It's got a wet, dry, wet feature. Now, I didn't mess with that. I'm just using it in standard sort of mono mode, but it does have stereo ins and outs. And one of the things, if you put it into wet, dry, wet mode, as I understand it, you can send the loops out of output 2 and the dry signal out of output 1. I can imagine that that would allow you to create some pretty sophisticated sort of like, you know, whatever you're playing as a melody or something like that on top of a loop that's coming out of a separate sound source, maybe even through its own effects chain going to a separate amplifier, and you could have them, you know, separated and get some stereo spread and all that kind of stuff. So the possibilities are endless. Also on the back here, you got a USB jack that allows you to do firmware updates and good stuff like that. And then there's this cable plugged in right here in this thing. What is this? Well, this is the Infinity 2 remote. This allows you to move some of the sort of secondary features of the pedal off onto this pedal and leave these two buttons here free for the main stuff, which is creating two different loops. So allowing you to start recording a loop and then play it back, or maybe you want to start recording a loop, set the boundary, and start overdubbing immediately. You can do that easily. And then you want to go over and start your second section recording and looping. You can do that really easily, and it's especially easy if you've got the secondary features over here on this. So what are those? Well, you can do neat stuff like there's a play once only button. So if you hit this, it's going to start triggering the current loop that's playing, and it's going to shut off at the end of that loop cycle. The other button here is an octave button. So you can either shift your audio up an octave and get crazy chipmunk-like effects, or you can go down an octave and get really dirgy. Also another like really cool thing you can do, just as all kinds of different things you can do in sort of hidden features, but if you hold both these buttons down for a second, it's going to fade the current loop that's playing and kind of fade out. You saw me do that actually at the track that I created at the beginning of the video. I held both these buttons down, the loop faded at the end of that cycle. Okay, which brings me to, there is a bunch of things about looper pedals that I find sort of hard to demonstrate in a demonstration video. For instance, like to start recording on this unit, what you're going to do if you want to start, for instance, recording the first loop, you're going to hit the loop one button once, and when you hit it again, that's going to be the boundary, and it's going to start looping between those two button pushes. But the first time I hit it, if I hold it down for a second, okay, that will start the loop recording, but it'll also put it into an overdub mode so that when I tap it again and start the loop boundary, now I'm going to be recording instantly again, and then I can layer other parts on top. Things like that, like short button pushes or long button pushes, that's hard things to show in demo videos, I find. So just know that the best way to really try one of these things and get a handle on it is to get your hands on it. There's kind of no substitute for that. Couple of the other features, there is an undo feature, so if you make a mistake, you can actually set up one of the buttons on the looper here to do an undo. You can switch it into undo mode and get rid of the last overdub you made. What else? What else? There's a volume control here. At the center point, it's unity gain. That means that the loop that you make will play back at the same volume as whatever you're currently playing through the pedal. Last but not least, there's a decay knob here. This is really interesting. When it's all the way up, that's kind of like standard looping mode. Whatever you play into the looper is going to loop and keep coming back at you continuously until you shut it off. But if you take that decay knob anywhere down below all the way up, what's going to happen is your overdubs are going to start to slowly fade. So that means you can actually evolve your loops. If you want your loop to kind of change over the course of a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, you can just experiment with where that decay knob is set, and you're going to be able to make some really interesting loops that don't necessarily play back the same way after a couple minutes. And if you turn the decay all the way down to the off position, it's going to loop once, and then at the end of that loop, it's going to erase everything. It's your choice if you want your loops to fade or not, or you want your loops to just stay consistent and keep playing continuously, indefinitely until you want to shut them off. Okay, so what I want to do now is focus the camera in on the looper a little bit to the best of my ability. I'm going to show you some of the secondary features, the octave feature, how to start and stop loops, how to put the unit into overdub mode, and once again, the best way to actually get a handle on all that stuff, though, is to try one of these things yourself. Alrighty, thanks for watching my video on the Infinity 2 Looper and its matching remote from the nice folks at PIGTRONIX. They make great stuff. I got to give a shout out to David. I always give him credit. David from PIGTRONIX is the guy that gave me the idea originally to put music at the beginning of my videos. I would sometimes create songs and put them later in my videos, but this is going back 10 years or something. I would start a lot of videos with talking, and he said, you should put the music up front maybe in your videos. Just give it a try. And I took that constructive criticism, and I've done it ever since. And it was actually him that gave me the inspiration to do that, so thanks again, David, for that. He's also the man behind Supro amps and guitars. He does some really cool work. So, PIGTRONIX, great company. Check out this pedal at the check out this pedal at the link down in the video description below. You can click there and go check out all the great other PIGTRONIX pedals. They make lots of cool stuff. Please hit subscribe and hit the little bell beside the subscribe if you haven't yet. That'll give you an alert every time I put out a new video. And if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up if you dug this one. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all you nice folks out there. Thanks for hanging in there with me all this time. If you're a new viewer, hey, welcome. Great to have you here, and I will see you folks real soon. I'm Pete Thorn. All right, take care.